Boiled eggs sounds really basic, but there's quite a few things that can obviously change how we cook a boiled egg. So to start with, the stove. Today I'm using an induction stove. It's very efficient. Obviously the reheating of the water will be very quick. The temperature is obviously very controlled, where on a gas stove it can change very drastically from an LPG gas to a normal gas stove. So it's really important that you set a time and temperature on your particular site of how long you cook your boiled eggs for. What's also really important is the size of the pan. If you're using a really small pan, it takes a lot longer for the eggs to cook, so you want a larger pan with a good volume of water in it, so it stays at an even temperature. If you're really tight together, the eggs are going to be fighting for that temperature, and you'll have some that are overcooked, some that are raw, so you need a good amount of water to your egg ratio. Also the actual egg, which is really important. The size of the egg, we use large free range eggs, but what's really important is where they're stored. These have come straight out of the fridge, so if that's how you store them, that's how you've got to check your temperature and time every time. So if you set a time, have your eggs been sitting out in service for an hour on the side next to a hot stove, it's going to affect how you cook the egg. It's going to take probably 20 or 30 seconds off. If they've come straight out of the fridge, they might take a minute longer. So it sounds really basic how to boil an egg, but obviously there's a lot of things that can affect the perfect boiled egg. So when you're obviously working on the boiled eggs, always have a set amount that you're going into a size pan. So I know with this size pan, I can cook between 15 and 20 eggs perfectly every time. If you start putting 30, 40 eggs in, that's obviously going to drastically change the consistency of the egg on the inside. And I always use a spider. Don't just launch your eggs in, because it really affects, if the shell is cracked, it's really going to affect the cooking of it as well. So I'm just going to drop these in nice and gently. Just give them a gentle stir around so there's enough water around each of the eggs. And how I'm starting these eggs, this is a 6-minute timer that I'm going to cook these, because I've timed them perfectly on the induction. I start them on a rapid boil. Once they're back up to the boil, just turn them down slightly. If they're constantly on a real hard boil, you're going to crack all the shells, it's going to be hard to peel. So I'm just going to wait for it to come back up to the boil. It takes about 30 seconds on this stove, but every stove, as I said before, is going to be different. And I'm just going to turn it down slightly, just so it's a nice gentle boil, it's not a rapid, vigorous boil. So now we're back up to the boil, I'm just going to turn it down slightly. And then we'll leave it like that until our 6 minutes is up. Okay, the next really important bit, the eggs are now cooked, is they go straight into ice water. So all the eggs are out. What's really important with this is there's not too much ice, there's not too much water, so it's going to be right balanced. If there's too much ice, it shocks the eggs, and then the eggs are really hard to peel. What you want to try and do is have enough ice to bring the temperature down, but not too much that it actually freezes the shell to the skin of the egg, and they're really hard to peel and then they just look horrible. So we're now going to wait for our eggs to cool down, and then we'll crack some open.